amazing viewers. Welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's incredible story, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and hit that like button to support us. It really helps us bring you more inspiring content like this. Today, I've got something truly special for you. This isn't just a story for practicing your English listening skills. It's a powerful tale that will ignite your determination and show you what's possible when you refuse to give up. This story is called Nothing Comes Without a Price, and it's about a young dreamer who transformed his entire world through pure grit and unwavering dedication. The dream that kept him awake. In a peaceful village nestled between towering mountain ranges, there lived an ambitious 20-year-old named Marcus. While most people his age were content with simple lives, Marcus had a fire burning inside him, a vision of owning multiple restaurants and becoming a renowned entrepreneur who would change his family's destiny forever. But Marcus wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Far from it. His father, Thomas, worked long hours as a car mechanic, coming home each night with oil-stained hands and an exhausted smile. His mother, Elizabeth, cleaned wealthy people's homes from dawn until dusk just to put food on the table. And then there was his 10-year-old sister, Emma, whose eyes sparkled with admiration every time Marcus spoke about his dreams. One freezing evening, Marcus sat on the worn wooden steps of their tiny house, gazing up at the glittering stars scattered across the velvet sky. His breath formed small clouds in the cold air as he whispered into the darkness, "How can I possibly give my family the life they deserve when we can barely afford tomorrow?" The wisdom that changed everything. The following morning, Marcus gathered the courage to share his entrepreneurial dreams with his father. Thomas wiped the grease from his hands, looked his son straight in the eyes, and said something Marcus would never forget. "Son, dreams don't fall from the sky into your lap. If you want something extraordinary, you must be willing to fight for it with everything you've got. Start with whatever you have, no matter how small it seems." Those words echoed in Marcus's mind all day long. Then suddenly, like a lightning bolt of inspiration, an idea struck him. He had noticed that people in his village absolutely loved fresh, warm bread, but the nearest bakery was miles away in the next town. What if he could bring that bread directly to them? But there was one massive obstacle standing in his way. Marcus didn't have a single coin to invest. Most people would have stopped right there, but Marcus refused to let poverty dictate his future. He decided to do something bold, something risky. The gamble that tested his character. Marcus walked for hours under the scorching sun until he reached the bakery owned by Mr. Harrison, a stern, elderly man with deep-set eyes who trusted almost nobody. Sweat dripped down Marcus's face as he stood before the intimidating businessman. "Mr. Harrison," Marcus began, his voice steady despite his racing heart, "I want to sell your bread in my village. The problem is I don't have money to buy inventory up front. But if you trust me for just 1 week, I promise I'll sell every single loaf, return your money, and keep only a small profit for myself." Mr. Harrison's bushy eyebrows shot up. "And why on earth should I trust a broke kid I've never met before?" he demanded, his voice sharp as a knife. Marcus looked directly into the old man's skeptical eyes and replied with unwavering confidence, "Because I'm not just making empty promises. I'm willing to prove my worth through action. Give me one chance, and you'll see the kind of person I am." The bakery fell silent for what felt like an eternity. Finally, Mr. Harrison exhaled slowly and said, "Fine. You've got 7 days. But understand this, if you fail to pay me back, don't ever show your face here again." The beginning of something beautiful. Marcus felt like his chest might explode with excitement. Before dawn the next morning, while the world was still asleep, he carefully carried the precious bread back to his village. He set up a modest stand near the community park and greeted every single person who walked by with genuine enthusiasm and the biggest smile his face could make. Fresh bread, warm, delicious, and made with love this very morning, he called out with energy that was absolutely contagious. At first, people walked past with suspicious glances. They didn't know if this young man's bread was worth their hard-earned money. But Marcus had anticipated this. He began offering free samples, letting the bread speak for itself. The moment people tasted that soft, warm goodness, everything changed. His first customer was a middle-aged woman who bought 2 loaves. Then a grandfather bought 3. By the time the sun began setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Marcus had sold every single piece of bread. That evening, he rushed back to Mr. Harrison with the money, his face glowing with pride. The old man nodded slowly and said, "You kept your word. That's rare these days. Come back tomorrow." The relentless pursuit of excellence. From that moment forward, Marcus became a man possessed by purpose. His alarm clock rang at 4 o'clock every single morning. He would walk miles to the bakery, carefully transport bread back to his village, and sell with the passion of someone who had everything to lose and everything to gain. 2 months of this grueling routine passed, and Marcus had saved enough money to buy a small wooden cart. This simple cart changed everything. Now he could carry more bread and reach more customers. One afternoon, a regular customer named Mrs. Thompson casually mentioned, "Marcus, you're fantastic at selling bread. But have you ever thought about baking it yourself? Your profits would multiply overnight." The suggestion planted a seed in Marcus's mind that grew into an obsession. But fear crept in alongside the excitement. He had never baked anything in his entire life. This was the crossroads where Marcus truly understood what his father meant. Nothing worth having comes without sacrifice and risk. The master and the student. Marcus couldn't shake the idea of becoming a baker. The next morning, after making his payment, he nervously approached Mr. Harrison with an unusual request. "Would you teach me the art of baking?" The old man's face hardened. "Why would I teach you to become my competitor? If you bake your own bread, you'll stop buying from me. That's terrible business for me." Marcus had prepared for this objection. "You're absolutely right," he acknowledged. "But I'll never forget that you were the man who gave me my first real opportunity. When I succeed, I'll make sure your bakery benefits too." Mr. Harrison studied the young man's face for several long moments, searching for any hint of dishonesty. Finally, his expression softened. Baking isn't some simple skill you learn overnight. It demands time, endless patience, and backbreaking work. If you're truly ready for that kind of commitment, I'll teach you. The painful path to mastery. The lessons began at 3 o'clock in the morning, when even the roosters were still sleeping. Mr. Harrison showed Marcus how to mix flour with just the right amount of water, how to knead dough until it reached the perfect consistency, and how to control the oven temperature with precision. But knowing the steps and mastering them were 2 completely different things. Marcus's hands developed painful blisters from kneading. His first attempts at bread came out either rock hard or disappointingly flat. One particularly frustrating day, after ruining his 5th batch in a row, Marcus collapsed onto a flour-covered chair. "Maybe I'm fooling myself," he muttered, staring at the failed bread with defeat washing over him. "Maybe I'm not cut out for this." But then his father's voice echoed in his memory. "Dreams don't fall from the sky into your lap." Marcus realized something profound. Every single mistake was actually teaching him something valuable. Quitting now would mean throwing away all those painful lessons. The next morning, Marcus returned to the bakery with twice the determination. He practiced every single step with intense focus, adjusting his technique based on each failure. Slowly but surely, his bread began improving. After 2 intense weeks of dedication, Mr. Harrison handed him a perfectly golden loaf and declared, "This is excellent work, Marcus. You're ready to fly on your own." Building an empire from scratch. Marcus rented a small, old oven and transformed a corner of his house into a mini bakery. His entire family became his support team. Emma, now learning quickly at his side, helped package the bread in clean paper wraps. Elizabeth managed the money and kept track of expenses. Even Thomas, exhausted from his own work, stayed up late offering encouragement. Business began flourishing. Marcus expanded beyond bread, experimenting with cookies, pastries, and sweet rolls. The village couldn't stop talking about him. Marcus's baked goods are unlike anything we've ever tasted before, they exclaimed, when competition arrived. But success never comes without challenges. One morning, Marcus noticed a brand new bakery opening across town, a flashy establishment run by a confident young man named Derek. Derek's shop had colorful signs, modern decorations, and an impressive display window that attracted curious crowds like moths to a flame. Marcus watched with sinking dread as his sales began dropping. Fear gripped him. What if everything he'd worked so hard to build came crashing down? But instead of panicking or complaining, Marcus did something smart. He approached his customers and humbly asked, "What does Derek's bakery offer that I don't? How can I serve you better?" Some customers admitted that Derek's shop looked cleaner and more attractive. Others mentioned his beautifully decorated cakes. Marcus didn't get defensive or bitter. Instead, he saw this feedback as a gift, a roadmap for improvement. He used his savings to paint his cart in bright, welcoming colors and added charming decorations. He taught himself cake decorating by studying instructional books at the local library. He started offering free samples of his newest creations to remind people why they loved his products in the first place. Gradually, customers returned. One elderly woman stopped by his stand and said something that brought tears to Marcus's eyes. "I've watched many young people give up the moment things get difficult. But you didn't. That's exactly why we believe in you, and always will." The shop that became a symbol. Months of continued hard work passed, and Marcus saved enough to rent an actual shop. It wasn't as large or fancy as Derek's establishment, but it had something money couldn't buy: warmth, authenticity, and heart. He named it Marcus's Fresh Creations and hung a handmade sign above the door. Every single morning, Marcus arrived before sunrise to bake fresh bread. He opened his doors with a genuine smile, treating every customer like family. His parents and Emma worked alongside him, and together they created something truly special. But Marcus understood something important. This wasn't the end of his journey. This was just the beginning. He wanted to expand further, make his family proud beyond their wildest dreams, and prove to himself and the world that absolutely anything is possible when you combine dreams with relentless action. The fire that tested his soul. One violent, stormy night, just as Marcus was closing his shop, he smelled something terrible: smoke. He rushed inside and discovered flames licking at the walls near his beloved oven. Adrenaline surged through his veins as he desperately grabbed buckets of water and fought the fire with everything he had. He managed to extinguish the flames, but much of his precious equipment was damaged beyond repair. When the villagers heard about the disaster the next morning, they gathered around the damaged shop. Some whispered sympathetically, "Poor Marcus, what will he do now?" Others murmured, "Maybe this is the end of his dream." Marcus stood in front of his smoke-damaged shop, soot covering his face, and made a declaration that would define his character forever. "This is just another obstacle. I've faced impossible situations before, and I've overcome every single one. I refuse to give up now." He took a deep, determined breath and started calculating. His savings weren't enough to replace all the damaged equipment. For a brief moment, that old familiar fear tried to creep back in. But Marcus had learned too much and come too far to let fear win. The community that believed. Instead of sitting around feeling sorry for himself, Marcus did something that required even more courage than starting his business. He asked for help. He went back to the retired Mr. Harrison and said, "Sir, I need guidance. If you were in my position, what would you do?" Mr. Harrison, now genuinely proud of his former student, smiled warmly and replied, "Marcus, you already know the answer. You've proven to yourself and everyone else that hard work and belief can move mountains. People will support someone who shows up and fights for themselves." Inspired by these words, Marcus made a decision. He wouldn't wait for a miracle. He would create one. He started baking again from his home, using the little equipment that survived the fire. He told his loyal customers with complete honesty, "I won't let you down. Even if I can only serve you small quantities right now, I'll be here every single day." The villagers were deeply moved by his courage. Something beautiful happened. People started helping without being asked. Some donated ingredients. Others contributed small amounts of money. Several people volunteered their time to help clean and repair the damaged shop. Marcus learned an invaluable lesson in those difficult days. When you demonstrate unwavering commitment and help yourself first, others will naturally want to support you. The grand reopening. After months of rebuilding, repairing, and refusing to quit, Marcus reopened his bakery. It was better than ever before. Fresh paint covered the walls, new decorations created a welcoming atmosphere, and he had introduced exciting new items like cupcakes, muffins, and specialty pastries. The grand reopening day arrived, and the entire village showed up to celebrate. Even the town's mayor attended and spoke to the gathered crowd. Marcus represents the very best of us. He's shown everyone that with genuine determination, absolutely anything becomes possible. Marcus stood before his community, his voice strong but filled with emotion, and said, "I want to thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. You've taught me that nothing valuable in life comes for free. Not success, not respect, not love. Everything must be earned through hard work, patience, and persistence. Never let failure become your stopping point. Every challenge you face is simply a stepping stone leading to something greater than you can imagine." The legacy that lives on. From that day forward, Marcus's fresh creations became more than just a bakery. It transformed into a living symbol of hope. People traveled from distant towns just to meet the young man who refused to surrender to circumstances. Marcus's journey teaches us powerful universal truths. First, dreams require sacrifice and hard work. They're never handed to anyone on a silver platter. Second, failure isn't the end of your story. It's simply an opportunity to learn, adapt, and come back stronger than before. Third, help yourself first with genuine effort, and others will notice and naturally want to support your journey. Fourth, never surrender during your darkest moments, because often they appear right before your greatest breakthrough. Marcus didn't just build a successful bakery. He constructed a life overflowing with purpose, respect, and genuine pride. And here's the most inspiring part. You can do exactly the same thing. Whatever your dream is, whatever obstacles stand in your way, don't stop chasing it. Remember this truth forever. Nothing worth having comes without a price, but everything you can imagine is absolutely possible when you refuse to quit. Thanks for watching, everyone. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs motivation today. See you in the next one.